Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Steph and I've decided to do some different kinds of videos. So if you're new here, I typically film knitting podcasts with bookish stuff at the end, and I'm gonna do a book haul. So we're going to talk about the books that I've purchased in the month of June, and I have a whole stack of them. First book that we have is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. She is a well-known sci-fi fantasy author. I do own 3 of her other books, her trilogy, which they all won, I think it's the Nebula Award? Does it say on her books? Yeah, winner of Hugo and Nebula Awards. So this is I think it's the 3rd one, yeah. This is the Broken Earth trilogy. So here's the 3rd one. Oh, and there's a picture of her right there. So I had to pick up her newest one, and the cover is awesome. It's really like pop art. Like, how cool is that? So this book is basically like cities have feelings. I don't like to read what books are about, but it's set in New York City, and basically the city has a soul, or it has multiple souls. So it's something to do about it's something about the cities being alive, which I think is kind of reminiscent of this trilogy, because this is, I haven't read it, but it's kind of like the world is a character. I mean, she's won the Hugo for every single one of her books in this trilogy. Like, that's incredible. The Hugo is a major award that is given to a sci-fi fantasy. And I'm gonna go grab it. Next, we have Aurora Rising and Aurora Burning. I have read this one. I read it before I bought it, but this is the newest one that came out, and I'm so excited. I'm probably gonna just reread Aurora Rising. It took, I don't know, like a day to read this. So Aurora Rising is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, as is the second one. They write, they partner up together and write sci-fi books that are so fast-paced and awesome. Basically, this is about, it's like a space school where you're training to become, what, space people? So you're training to become like this task force, and you've got a team and you go out on missions, all that jazz. And something happens in this first one where our star, he is not able to get to the test on time, basically, and so he's stuck with the misfits that no one wanted for his team. And then his team is given a very weird task, and then it kind of explodes from there, and it is so good. The second one, I'm sure, picks off right at the end of this one, and I am so excited. This one does have a very sad ending, and actually if you look at the back of this one, it spoils this book, which I am just noticing that it spoils it, because, oh, I'm not even gonna say it, even though you could just look at this book and you would then realize what happens. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. I could be wrong. But this one just came out. I have read Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman's other series, The Illuminae, and I loved it. I've been on the hunt for for those books in hardback at a discount store. I also purchased Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad as well as The Nickel Boys. Again, this guy has won the Pulitzer Prize for both of these books. This one came out a couple years ago, and I mean, I felt like I saw this everywhere. I used to travel a lot for my job. I basically lived in hotels and airports, and you notice books being read by people, not as much as I feel like maybe 10 years ago, but I definitely saw this quite often. And Nickel Boys is his latest book, and it also won the Pulitzer. So The Underground Railroad and Nickel Boys, I'm pretty sure they both they're like fantastic realism, so there's some fantasy elements to it, but based in real world. So this is like, I'm pretty sure this is one where the Underground Railroad is like an actual magical railroad. Which, side note, I don't know about you guys, but when I was little, when I was first told about the Underground Railroad, I really did think it was underground, and at first I thought it was a railroad, but then, you know, my teachers were like, no, it's not a real railroad. I'm like, okay, but it's underground. So I just always had this picture of railroad tracks underground, no train, just tracks, and that's what that was. Even though I was told very quickly that that's not what the Underground Railroad is. But anyway, so this is about a young slave on a plantation, and she escapes on this magical Underground Railroad. The Nickel Boys is about a real life school event, and it was in the 60s. I don't remember if the academy is actually called Nickel Academy, but there was this school where boys were sent, and it's still like boys were tortured and killed at this school. Basically originally they said, oh, they got sick and stuff, but I want to say it's like 60 bodies have been exhumed from the grounds of this school. And that's what this book is about. I'm excited to read both of these. These have been on my list for years. I wanted to get this when it came out, never got around to it, and then when this came out, I knew I just needed to get both of them. And I was already buying so many books this month, I figured, you know what, just tack them on. Plus they're so small, right? It'll be a breeze to get through these. If you like books, if you like listening to people talking about books, there's a podcast called Book Riot, and it's a podcast about books, bookish news and stuff. And they talk about Colson Whitehead a lot, and really, I mean, them buzzing in my ear every week or 2 weeks just continuously reminds me I need to pick up these books. He does have other books, but these are the ones I was most interested because they are fiction. I also purchased 2 books by Frederick Bachman. I own, it's like Marie, it's in here, I'm pretty sure it's on this shelf. I own my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry, but then I picked up these 2. So A Man Called Ove, or Uwe, I feel like is the first one that was translated into English, and it's about an old man. And Us Against You is actually the second book in a duology. The first one's called Beartown, but they did not have Beartown at Half Price Books when I was there, but they did have really good conditions of these 2, so I grabbed them. Us Against You, or Beartown, the first one, it's about a small town that is centered around a hockey team, and then something happens and the town has to grapple with that event. Frederick Bachman writes hard-hitting books. I have read one of his books and it was a very short story about Christmas, and that was kind of depressing. Next, I have Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and I picked this up because it's a signed first edition. Look right there. Morgan Matson, she writes YA contemporary, and this is about a girl who is basically, she's about to go off to college, and before then she comes home before her parents sell the house and everyone goes their separate ways to have a wedding. And the wedding planner quits or something like the day before, and I'm pretty sure she picks up the slack and has to plan this wedding. I grabbed this book called The Blood Print. I don't know really anything about this book, and I don't think I've even heard of it. It's by Azuma Zahanat Khan. But the reason why I was interested, well, one, this just looks like a book I would like. It looks like it's fantasy. And then I looked at the back, and it's blurbed by S.A. Chakraborty, who wrote City of Bones, or City of Brass, as well as Kingdom of Copper, which are both on my shelf. Have I read them? No. Do I think I love them? Yes. Yeah, so I picked up this one. So from reading the flap here, basically this is an overthrow the evil power style of book, which I love. I love that. Next, we have The Island of Sea Women, which I saw a lot on Goodreads. It's by Lisa C. And this book is set on the Korean island of Jeju, or Jeju. And it follows women who have lived on this island and they dive. I don't know what they dive for. Plants? Wildlife? Treasure? I'm not sure. But they dive in the water. And the author is... she's won quite a lot of awards. She's a recipient of the Golden Spike Award from the Chinese Historical Society. And then another award, and National Woman of the Year by the Organization of Chinese American Women. So she has, I don't know if she is Chinese American or if her family is Chinese American. It just says, tells the story of her Chinese American family's settlement, which sometimes, like, that could be your husband, so you're not related to that family, but, right? Like, am I making sense? I'm not really sure. But her name is Lisa C., which is why I think maybe it's her husband's family. Then we have Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman. I wanted to pick this book up for years. She wrote Serafina and Shadow Scale. Serafina is amazing, and I really need to reread it so that I can read Shadow Scale and then read Tess of the Road, because this is in the same world of dragons. I don't know too much about this one, but it is a fantasy story. There are dragons. Also, the cover is so cool, right? It's a dragon, but also a village. Yeah. I have Fireborne by Rosaria Munda, and this is also a dragon book. And this is about a society where there war powers and the good side lost. So to make it simple. So we have 2 characters who are training to be dragon riders, and then there is an uprising. And I'm sure they have to choose sides. And then lastly, I have a Keita Warrior. This is the second, and I think it's either a duology or it's a series. I'm not really sure. But it's by Nettie Okorafor. A Keita Warrior is about a girl who finds out she has magical powers. I'm reading the blurb for the second book, which I really shouldn't be, but again, yes, she is a girl that has magical powers, and I like that. So those are the books that I have purchased in the month of June. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, if you have read any of the books that I've purchased, if you like any of the books I purchased, or if I should buy more books, because I always want to buy more books. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.